get started with introductions, and then we will talk a little bit about the game for those of you who are unfamiliar or would like a refresher for my little investigations. And then we'll get right into gameplay demo, which I'm sure is what most of you are here for. So I'm GabuX. I'm the creative director on my little investigations.
I'm that Canadian dude. I'm the voice actor for Rover and the second assistant space whale writer.
I am Trot Pilgrim, and I'm doing the music.
All right, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with My Little Investigations, it basically is a pony fan game that is inspired by Ace Attorney Investigations, to be specific. If you're unfamiliar with Ace Attorney, basically the premise in that is, Ace Attorney Investigations, the premise is you play as Miles Edgeworth, and you investigate crimes, you look at evidence, you talk to witnesses, you discuss, you interrogate people, yes, and you object a lot. Basically it's the same thing in My Little Investigations. You play as Twilight Sparkle, who is in case one at least, is a self-appointed investigator who rarities Jewel and Cat are both stolen, and it's up to Twilight to resolve this conundrum, if you will. So yeah, that's basically it for My Little Investigations. That's the very brief primer. So I guess we'll get right into gameplay. Can we get the...
Just keep looking up, it'll come down eventually.
Yes, it comes down faster if you all stare at it.
Main screen turn on.
Main screen turn on.
The machines have gained sentience and they're rebelling.
This showing gameplay might. If all else fails, I'll get up on stage and do charades, and you'll guess what gameplay is happening.
We will show it through interpretive dance.
Yes, you're missing it.
You must find the game now.
Yes, yes. All right. We get signal. Main screen turn on.
And now you will never see us again.
All right. So I kind of can't see anything that's going on. So please let me know when you get video signal. Is signal yet? It's VGA.
Okay, at least then they know what to well, it's trying to find it, hasn't found it yet.
It's right over here.
Yeah. I can look at my laptop. Why can't you look at my laptop? I think it is plugged in. Thank you for those.
Let's try rebooting.
It's looking for a signal, so it's
Okay.
like it's not finding your video.
Oh, okay. How do I... Oh, do I...
Mirror video or share.
All right. Crisis averted. All right. Do we have audio for this? There There it is. All right. We're ready to get started. All right. So before we get into gameplay, though, there was one thing that you can't really see here that I kind of wanted to touch on, which is that if you've been following this game up until now, it has been programmed in Java. As of now, it is no longer programmed in Java. It is now programmed in C++ and SDL. And I haven't even told you the reason why that's good yet, but thank you for applauding. So, we originally ported it to Java basically to support all 3 operating systems, those being Linux, Mac, and Windows. Those are all still supported in C++ and SDL. But there were 2 major problems. One was that graphics cards, low-end graphics cards, were not supported properly, and the other is that the Java executable is a jar file, which apparently gets hijacked by a number of programs such as WinRAR, which made people unable to play it, which is not exactly good. So now it's an exe in Windows and whatever else in the other operating systems, and everybody should be able to play it. So that is good. So now we're getting into gameplay. This is the part where if you would, we would like a little bit of audience participation, if you would. Basically, we have 3 of us up here, but the team is 17 people. There are 17 people in our team, and we can't all be here, but we're kind of hoping that all of them would be able to get a nice amount of brony appreciation for their contributions to the product. So basically what we'd like to do is, as we're going through the gameplay, periodically I will point out the contributions that members of our team are doing, and if you could applaud or something like that, that would be very appreciated. Do you think you could do that for us? All right, you people are awesome. All right, let's get started. New game. This will go through the opening cutscene, and then we'll take it from there. Unfortunately, it does not go full screen, so sorry.
Find it! It's here somewhere!
I'm looking. Give me a break.
It's too dark. Can't see a thing. Yes! That's a thing called mouse! Keep looking.
Wait. I think. Aha! I found it!
Finally! Let's get out of here, quickly!
What's going on?
And the plot thickens. All right, so that's basically...
Rarity! I came as soon as I heard. What happened?
So this basically sets up the scene. The mystery people, who I'm sure none of you have figured out, have absconded with her diamond. It's okay if you figured it out. The intrigue is intended largely to be centered around finding out how to catch them in the act, as opposed to finding out who they are. So before we get started, I'd just like to point out a few people to get started. The cutscene images there were done by Rautakura, our cutscene artist. Please. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be here forever. Please wait until I've named everyone, and then you can applaud. Or else we're never gonna make our 1 p.m. deadline. Rover is played by that Canadian dude who is up here, and Hooded Yellow Pony plays Fido and Spot. And I will say in advance, all the background music is made by Trot Pilgrim, who is also up here behind the stage. So please give them a warm brony appreciation. You guys are wonderful, let me tell you. All right, so this now takes place the morning after, well, actually the afternoon after the big heist. So we'll allow this to.
Apparently, Twilight slept in.
Yeah, she's not a morning pony. She stays up late. So we'll let this play out, and then we'll take it from there.
Oh, Twilight! It's awful, horrible, dreadful, perhaps even the worst possible thing!
Uh-huh. And that would be...
Why, Twilight? Do I detect skepticism? Well, I shall have you know that last night I became a victim.
A tragic, tragic victim! Woe is me! I shall never recover from this injury that's been wrought upon me!
English, Rarity.
I was in the zone, Twilight. But if I must, last night I was stolen from.
Stolen from?
Dun,
What
dun,
was stolen?
They were stolen, Twilight! Both of them!
Who?
My 2 jewels! True Blue and Opal!
Ahem. Twilight, what Rarity is trying to say is that thieves broke into the Carousel Boutique last night and stole both the True Blue, a large sapphire that she had recently acquired when gem hunting, and Opal, which is her cat.
How could they? How could they? Oh, my poor, poor darling, all alone out there with those ruffians!
I'm gonna go ahead and hope that she was talking about her cat there. What happened?
Well, no. I'm afraid we haven't the slightest idea.
Ponyville doesn't really have much of a police force, you see, so we are a little under-equipped to handle something like this. This doesn't happen very often, you know. An investigative team from Canterlot has agreed to look into it, but I'm afraid they won't be here for a few days.
A few days? But the thieves might be long gone by then, and...
Sorry. You can read this.
Exactly what happened last time? I can't seem to recall.
The one brought in to investigate the baby that went missing and which ended up being found unharmed in the closet?
Ah, yes, I do recall that, but I'm not sure where you're going with.
The one that somehow managed to implicate Pinkie Pie in a fictional Dragon X smuggling ring?
Well, yes. Yes, that's the one. Think positive, Twilight. They may, perform better this time. Yes, that's the ticket. Well, there's not much for it either way, Twilight. After all, no pony in our town has any experience with this sort of thing. We'll just have to wait it out. Oh, I have so much to do at the moment. I simply can't stay around any longer. We'll get to the bottom of this as soon as that investigative team arrives, Rarity. You have my word.
I'm afraid she's right, you know. We shall simply have to wait it out.
If that investigative team gets their hooves on this case, who knows what ridiculous things they might come up with this time? There has to be a better way. Rarity, I'm on the case.
I beg your pardon, Twilight?
Some pony needs to get to the bottom of this, right? Well, I volunteer. I've had experience investigating crime before, after all.
Twilight, I'm really not sure if that's such a grand idea.
Well, I mean, sure. That particular investigation pretty much involved completely airtight evidence that directly identified the culprits in one go. And it also included an eyewitness who saw almost everything who could lead me exactly to the clues. But it's not like the team from Canterlot will be much better, right?
Forgive me, Twilight, if your words do not inspire a great deal of confidence.
It'll be fine. Don't you worry, Rarity. I'll have this case wrapped up in a jiffy. Mystery novels came through for me then, so surely they'll come through for us again.
Hey!
Gah! Pinkie! Where in Equestria did you come from?
Oh, well, I was walking by and I was all, my assistance is needed, and I must fulfill my duty.
Uh-huh. What are you doing?
Helping a pony in need. Duh!
I'm the one who knows something about investigations, not you. Remember what happened last time?
Of course I do, silly. But this time is completely different. I have, wait for it, a walkthrough!
A what?
A walkthrough, silly! For this game, the way things work are completely different than last time. Honestly, sometimes I worry about her.
Pinkie, you're talking to some bushes.
Oh, Twilight, I'm not talking to those old things. I'm talking to them, out there. You see what I have to work with here?
You know what? I'm not even going to ask. Just, do your thing, Pinkie.
Okie dokie dokie. Well, the first step of any investigation is to move around. You can't find anything if you don't move your little rump to where the clues are. So, to walk places, you first lift your hoof up and move it in front of your other hoof.
Pinky, I'm pretty sure I know how to walk.
Oh, right! But I bet you've never walked like this before. Now, if you want her to walk, well, you just gotta click on the spot you want her to walk to, and she goes. Or, if you want her to keep moving, just press and hold, and she'll walk towards your cursor.
I'm pretty sure I can walk myself.
Oh, Twilight, don't you worry your pretty little head about the details. They'll figure it out, and that's a pinky promise.
Okay, so now we know how to move. Great, but what about, examining evidence?
Oh, that's simple. If you want to talk to someone or look at something, all you gotta do is click on it. Easy peasy. Why, I bet if you clicked on that broken window there, you'd think of lots of things to say about it.
It's just a window.
Yeah, but you gotta keep them happy, right? So you better think of something to say about it. Otherwise, they might get upset.
Right, of course. We wouldn't want to make them upset after all.
And that's it!
That's it?
That's it! Well, that's not it, but it's it for now, because the other its come later. You're not ready for those its yet, though. Don't you worry about them.
Okay.
Okie dokie, and I'm off. Bye, Twilight. And I'll see you real soon, too. Catch you later.
That was fascinating, was it not?
That's one way to describe it.
But useful, wouldn't you say? Though I must confess, I still do not believe that this is a good idea.
Don't worry, Verity. I'll get to the bottom of this before that investigation team even gets here.
All right, that's the opening cutscene to set the stage. Thank you. Now we know how to move and how to talk to people, so that is very important, of course.
I'm going to use all that information when we are done.
That's exactly right. Before we move on, I'd just like to call out a few more people. The dialogue, half-body dialogue characters, that's the tag team of Hallow Gazer and Tajeda. Twilight is played by Princess Rill. Love Kiku plays Rarity. The always awesome Bree Faith plays Pinkie Pie. And Fluttershy plays the mayor. So please give them a warm appreciation. All right, so let's get started. So now control has been given to the player, so now you can move Twilight around and convince her that she's moving herself. She doesn't really know what's going on. So basically the way you play this game is you examine evidence, then you talk to ponies, you interrogate witnesses to get key pieces of information, and then there are climaxes at the end, interspersed in the case where you confront someone very important and get to some fundamental truth, or to apprehend the villain in the case. So let's get started with looking at evidence. If you see something interesting, you just click on it to look at it. Like, for example, this bush, it's all purple and stuff, so it looks very interesting. Let's have a look at that.
Wow, these are some really nice bushes. Very eye-catching. So much that you might think that they're important. But they're not.
Well, that was a dud. All right, let's look at something actually interesting. There are clearly some tire tracks in the grass here, so why don't we have a look at that?
Well, it doesn't take a sharp eye to see that these are tire marks. And it doesn't take a sharp wit to figure out that whoever was here probably was the cause of this broken window, too. Is there anything else here?
And occasionally, when you're looking at things, it zooms in so you can have a closer look. Clearly, there seems to be some sort of hair here. That's probably interesting, isn't it?
Is this hair?
Well, Twilight sure thinks so.
These tire tracks and this hair seem like they go together. What was it? Oh, right! If I want to combine them, I just click on Evidence in the main screen. Click on the tracks, then Combine with. Click on the hair, and then click Combine. As Pinky might say, easy peasy!
Alright, so this kind of approximates the logic mechanism if you're familiar with Ace Attorney investigations. If you have two things that are related, then as Twilight says, you can combine them, and that gets the logical ball rolling.
If this hair is from some animal, then it'd naturally follow that the rider probably swerved here to avoid hitting it, explaining why that pony went towards the window. Except, what animal was it? A pony, perhaps?
And once you do that, then it updates in the evidence. It now contains the extra information that Twilight has deduced from that. So that's interesting. So let's look around a bit more. I believe my pinky senses are telling me that there's something over here. So let's go have a look at that.
A piece of cloth. Red on one side, gold on the other. I think I know what this is from.
And enter the Cutie Mark Crusaders. So let's take a bit over here. In addition to looking at evidence, you can also talk to ponies. So since Rarity is the victim in this case, we might as well start with her. So when the dialogue screen comes up, it basically presents you with a bunch of topics that you can talk to. In this case, there's only one, so that makes the choice a little easy.
Rarity, I think we should start with what happened last night.
Of course, darling. What would you like to know?
Could you describe exactly what happened and what you saw?
Well, I'm afraid there isn't much to tell. I was sleeping in my bedroom when suddenly I heard a shrill crash from downstairs. I went downstairs to investigate, and what did I find but my house overturned and ransacked, my prized jewel gone, and my beloved opal essence missing as well. Oh, Opal! Mama's coming soon!
Perhaps I should ask more specifically about what was stolen.
And as you talk to people, things they say may strike Twilight's fancy, and that will open up new conversation options. In this case, Twilight thinks that she should ask about what was stolen specifically, so once we're done with this conversation option, then that will open up as another option.
And
but this will keep going.
Everything there is to speak of? You saw nothing else at all?
No, nothing, I'm afraid. So sorry, Twilight.
That sounded awfully suspicious. Rarity, are you hiding something? I should come back when I've got some evidence proving that Rarity knows more than she's letting on. Presenting that to her should get her to talk to me.
And occasionally you'll find someone who's less than forthcoming. In the case like that, then the dialogue option will be marked with a padlock such as this. In that case, you basically have to present the right piece of evidence to prove that this person knows something, and they'd better open up before Twilight has to get rough. Now, there is another option, but since we're a little strapped for time, we'll ignore that for now, and we'll go on to the next thing, which is that if you're talking to a person, you can also present that pony or other character with evidence, and if that character knows anything, then they will hopefully talk about it. In this case, my pinky senses are telling me that she knows something about this cape, so we'll ask her about it.
Oh, I remember this little problem.
You do?
Of course! Apple Bloom came by this morning to have this little accident fixed up. She seemed to have ripped her cape during one of her usual excursions. I asked her why she didn't just get Sweetie Belle to fix it up, but she said that Sweetie Belle was very busy today and couldn't spare any time to do so. I really don't know what those fillies are up to, but on the other hoof, perhaps it's better I don't know. I swear, sometimes I don't understand myself. Sweetie Belle absolutely ruins my gold silk, and now here I am, fixing the capes they made with it. I'm an odd sort. Do you think I'm odd, Twilight?
Oh, Rarity. I think you just have a big heart.
Don't remind me, Twilight. Sometimes it can be a bit tiresome.
So this belonged to Apple Bloom, and she had it fixed this morning.
The plot thickens. What have you been up to, Apple Bloom? I think it's time that we paid Apple Bloom a little visit. So let's go over here. If I'm not mistaken, we can find her in the town square. So let's see what she knows about things. How about? And there she is. So, before we ask her about that, though, she has a few already loaded conversation options that Twilight has thought of, so we'll begin with that.
Hey, Apple Bloom. How's it going with the Cutie Mark Crusaders? Done any, epic quests or crusading lately?
Oh, well, no, actually, not really. See, we're kinda on break.
On break? Since when do the Cutie Mark Crusaders take breaks?
Since, well, recently. I mean, every pony's gotta take a break once in a while, right?
How recently?
Pretty recent?
She's not hiding anything at all, don't worry.
Something's not right here. Although, now that I think about it, there's one Crusader I haven't heard anything about today. Say, Apple Bloom. Do you know where Scootaloo's been?
Nowhere. I mean, somewhere. I mean, not here. I mean, I don't know.
That's probably something we're gonna want to talk about later. All right, next topic.
So, did you hear about what happened to Rarity last night?
Did I? That was an awful thing that happened to her.
Well, don't worry. I'm on the case, and I promise you that I'll find the one who broke that window and stole from her.
Oh, well, good luck with that. Hope you have real good luck there.
That was an odd response. Apple Bloom, you wouldn't happen to know anything about what happened, would you?
Huh? Course not. Why would you think I'm not telling you something, huh?
Because you just told me that you're not.
All right, and this opens up our first interrogation. It has become very evident at this point that Apple Bloom is not exactly being forthcoming with something that she knows. So it's time to, rough her up a bit. Metaphorically speaking, of course. This isn't, we'll leave the fighting to fighting is magic. All right, so interrogations basically work quite similarly to courtroom situations in Ace Attorney, in that you'll basically grill the person and they'll tell you a number of sentences, and you have to figure out which of these sentences is a little incongruent with the knowledge that we have through the evidence. So let's get started with that.
Okay, Apple Bloom. Time to find out what you're hiding. Apple Bloom, I need to ask you about where you were around the time of the crime.
Huh? How come? I'm not a suspect, am I?
No, I just need to know. Procedure and all. That makes sense, right?
Sure, I guess. I wasn't really doing a whole lot yesterday, to be perfectly honest. Most of my day was spent with Applejack helping her on the farm.
So once you see these tabs come up, that basically means that we are now in the testimony loop, which means that you can just cycle through all of her statements. If you want more information, you can click press for info, and if you find the statement that does not match up with the evidence, then you click present evidence, and that will complete the interrogation and move you on. But for now, let's hear what Apple Bloom's story sounds like.
We finished everything up at around 6:30 or 7. I don't remember exactly when it was. I had homework to complete for school after that, so I was pretty much just doing that for the rest of the day. I certainly never went anywhere near the Carousel Boutique. No, sorry.
I believe you, Apple Bloom. Don't worry.
So I don't know if I can really help you much here, Twi. Awful sorry.
I know for sure that Apple Bloom is hiding something from me here. The only question is, what?
I wasn't really doing.
All right, so now we're back to the start. So, let's just find an interesting statement to demonstrate pressing for info.
We finished everything up at around 6:30 or 7. I don't remember exactly.
Why doesn't she know the exact time? Let's press her for that.
Why can't you remember exactly when it was?
'Cause I was outside. Duh, we need all fancy hands ponies with the watches and stuff. That's for Camelot ponies.
That doesn't account for your whole day, though. What about the rest of it?
I had homework to
And now we're back into the testimony loop. That didn't exactly get us anywhere. So let's let's move on and actually complete this.
Never went anywhere near.
Now, we know from a fact that this was found pretty near the Carousel Boutique, and we know that it was fixed this morning. So, the idea that she wasn't around that area seems a little odd. Let's present it.
Apple Bloom, I'm afraid to say that I don't think you're being honest with me here.
Huh? Of course I am, Twi. How could you say something like that?
Oh no, I'm not being guilt-tripped this time. I found a scrap of your cape near the bridge to the Carousel Boutique. I know you were there, Apple Bloom.
Oh, well, that doesn't mean that was left there last night, does it? Why, that was left there a long time ago, Twi.
No, Apple Bloom. I'm afraid that one's not going to fly. I talked to Rarity earlier, and she told me that you had this fixed this morning.
Yeah, but...
Your prized Cutie Mark Crusaders cape. Apple Bloom, come on. You can't tell me that you wouldn't get that fixed as soon as possible.
But it... I mean... All right, you win, Twi. I'm sorry.
It's okay, but please, I need you to tell me what you know. I can't help if I don't know as much as possible.
And now that we're done, a new conversation option has opened up in which Apple Bloom will fill us in as to what she's been hiding. However, in the interest of time, we'll leave that as an exercise to the reader. And we'll move on to the final portion of the gameplay. So at this point, I know. I know.
The new part of the gameplay is access to the TARDIS.
Yep. Okay, so at this point, we've convinced Sweetie Belle to let us into the Cutie Mark Crusaders hideout, and where Scootaloo is waiting for us. This will get us to the first confrontation in the game, where we try to get Scootaloo's story, since it's kind of important. Before I do, though, I'd just like to call out a few more people. The walking animations, such as these, is done by Warpout, and the backgrounds are done by Pony Artist. So if you'd give them a nice pony appreciation, that would be great. All right, let's get started. So, here's Scootaloo, and let's see what she has to say for us.
Scootaloo, I have to ask you about last night.
Oh, last night?
Yes, last night. Or more specifically, where you were last night.
I don't know what you're talking about, Twilight.
Oh, I think you do, Scootaloo. I've already talked to Apple Bloom about some of it.
Apple Bloom? What? What did she say, Twilight?
I know that you three were around that area practicing a comedy routine. So perhaps we should start there.
It was supposed to be a secret. But yeah, we've been working on a comedy routine for Rarity's birthday. I imagine you already heard that much from Apple Blabbermouth.
So, confrontations are a lot like interrogations, but they are longer, and you will see how in a moment. But for now, let's just see if we can find what's wrong with her statement here. Or with her testimony.
We started pretty late in the evening around Town Square, so we could be there when there weren't any ponies around. We made some pretty good progress, if I do say so myself. I mean, I'd hope we did, considering we were there for, like, over an hour. And that's about it. We're still not there yet, but I think we're getting there. Not sure why you were wondering about this, but there it is.
All right, so in this case, she's not being specific enough. So to progress, we need to press her for info on this particular statement.
That's what happened when you started. What happened after you started? Were you just working on that routine? Nothing else?
Well, yeah. Can't say we did much else.
Can't see much out of place so far, at least. All right. Do you think you could tell me what you did do?
After we got started, we got into our routine pretty heavily. Heck, we were working on it non-stop until we called it a night.
And had we shown you what Apple Bloom had to say, you would learn that they did, in fact, take a break. So Scootaloo is lying.
Not entirely non-stop, I'm afraid.
Huh?
I happen to know that you three took a break part of the way through your practice session. And I also happen to know that neither Apple Bloom nor Sweetie Belle knew where you were during that time.
Apple Bloom!
Unfortunately, we couldn't get Apple Bloom's lines in time, so that's why they're unvoiced. Sorry about that.
Well, what about it?
Huh?
Maybe we did take a break and I went off somewhere else. What about it? Doesn't mean anything. It's not like you know where I was.
Unfortunately, we do in fact know where she was. If you had interrogated Rarity, you would have learned that Scootaloo had been sighted at the crime scene.
Actually, I think I have a pretty good idea of where you were.
What? How?
I talked to Rarity earlier and learned that she witnessed an orange and purple pony running out the door after she discovered her home had been ransacked and her prized jewels stolen. And I also found part of this ribbon just outside the window to her boutique. Not to mention there were tire tracks that looked suspiciously like your scooters, leading directly to that window. Sounding familiar yet, Scootaloo?
Well...
And you may notice that this number has dropped from 3 to 2. That's basically Scootaloo's resistance. Once you get her down to 0, she'll finally crack and tell you what you're wanting to know. Over here, on the other hand, though, we have Twilight's credibility. If this number gets down to 0, which it will if you present wrong evidence, then you basically get a game over screen and you have to restart the confrontation from the beginning. So, guessing is a bad idea in confrontations.
Actually, no. Can't say it is.
And here's where we see that confrontations are different from interrogations because Scootaloo keeps talking, and we have new,
Come on, Twilight! None of that points to me! Listen to yourself! I jumped through a window to break in? I mean, that's gonna hurt! Not to mention make a lot of noise!
New topics of conversation is what I wanted to say.
And why in the world would I steal anything from some pony whose sister I'm friends with? That makes no sense! All you've got is circumstantial evidence.
I don't know whether to be annoyed by her stubbornness or impressed by the fact that she correctly used the phrase circumstantial evidence in a sentence. Stay cool, Twilight. You already know what you need here. You just need to find ways to prove it to her.
And now we have new topics to grill her on. So let's pick her motive. Why would you steal something,
Honestly,
Scootaloo?
Twilight, I can't believe this. You're accusing me of stealing from my best friend's sister? What's gotten into you? Give me one good reason why I'd steal from her. No, not even just from her. From any pony!
And unfortunately, we do in fact have a motive. Even though she didn't do it, there is a reason why she might have done it. Sorry, Scootaloo, but here you go.
Alright.
Alright, what?
I can, in fact, provide a motive for why you'd want to steal Rarity's prized jewel. Scootaloo, I know that a short while ago, Rainbow Dash gave you a very special ribbon of hers and told you a few choice words. Among those, however, was the instruction that you should do something very daring for you and your friends. I trust you know where I'm going with this. If you really did do a bold heist of Rarity's boutique in the middle of the night to steal her most precious jewel, that would certainly be awfully daring.
What? No, Twilight, no! You've got it all wrong! That wasn't it at all! After she said that, I started practicing scooter tricks, not theft! Stealing things from ponies is so uncool, Twilight. I never! You remember those tricks that Rainbow Dash did at the Best Young Flyer competition, right? I had to try one of those out! Of course I can't fly, so, well, I kind of had to make do with what I can do. You remember that trick where she spun clouds around, right? So awesome! Well, not as awesome as the Sonic Rain Boom, of course, but I figured, maybe I'd work up to that. The carousel boutique's nice and round, so I've been practicing going around it at top speed. I'm getting pretty good at it. Anyway, the point is, that was not what I had in mind when she gave me that advice. At all.
Alright, Scootaloo. I believe you.
And now we get a piece of evidence in the middle of a confrontation. Confrontations are typically designed kind of as a bit of a logic maze. This evidence is actually needed for the other topic in this confrontation. If you had gone to that topic before getting this evidence, then you wouldn't have been able to do a whole lot. So, yeah. And I see that we're running a bit low on time. I believe they wanted us to end at around 12:45 or so. I won't go into this. Instead, I will just finish out the list by noting that Scootaloo is played by Divine X Rose, and all the lines in this were gotten to us Friday evening by Xtrav, our audio engineer. So a big thanks to him for that. And I'd also like all right. And I'd also like to give some props to two people whose influence is kind of seen across this project as opposed to in one particular spot. One of those peoples is Dawn Mew, our technical director. I first met her in November of 2011, and she quickly made me realize that when it came to storage and other technical things that I had no idea what I was doing. But fortunately, she had a much better idea, and we now have a much more solid project as a result. The other is Zeus Assassin, who is the case and game designer. I first met him in August of 2011, and it wouldn't be a stretch to say that this project would not exist if it wasn't for him. At the time, I had paragraph-length stuff for case ideas and gameplay ideas, but I didn't really have a whole lot to go on, but thanks to him, we played kind of idea ping pong, so forth, so to speak, and vague ideas became very concrete ideas, and we now have a very, very solid grasp on things. So thank you to all of those people. If you would give them a wonderful appreciation, thank you. All right, that brings us to the close of this panel, and we will open the floor to questions and answers. Yes, please.
Do you have plans to implement running?
Yes, the question was, do we have plans to implement running? Yes, we do. One of the feedback we got was definitely that Twilight moves too slowly. We haven't gotten the animations from Warp out yet, but yes. Yes, sir.
I like that you say happy accident because Bob Ross is one of my favorite influences.
Can you tell?
So the question was, how did I build tension during scenes?
There were a couple, yeah, there was, I can't remember exactly which one because I caught, all the music was really good, and if I
Thank
had
you.
hours that bother you, I'd ask you more questions, but that one is the most important to me, is that it seemed like the dialogue and the background were well synced, and I'm wondering if you actually created the music based on having the dialogue.
I actually created the music. I got a lot of information. I got paragraphs and paragraphs of information from Gabu about the situations that each piece of music would be used in. I did also have access to the scripts too. I read through that.
And the opening cutscene, I should mention, was synced particularly to the dialogue.
Yeah.
It works really well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What made you choose to go for the route like Ace Attorney Investigation as opposed to the original Ace Attorney?
Lack of courthouses.
Yeah, there were two main reasons why we picked Ace Attorney Investigations. The first is that the original Ace Attorney was released on the Game Boy Advance, so its gameplay was a little simpler, like in terms of when you move between areas, you kind of just get a background to look at, whereas Ace Attorney Investigations, you actually move about, and that seemed like it would be more interesting. The other reason was because in Equestria, the concept of a courthouse seemed like it might not fit canonically. The investigation type deal where you're out in the field, confronting people where they are instead of taking them into court, that seemed like a more natural fit for the My Little Pony universe. I believe you were first. So, yeah.
Did you struggle with making the product you were doing unique from the Ace Attorney Investigation series and like also
Okay, so the question, I believe, was, did we struggle making it unique from Ace Attorney Investigations? That was the question?
Oh, and the other one was like, how did you license like the ability to do this, or are you trying to dodge trademark?
Sorry, you'll have to speak up a little bit.
Did you license your product, or are you dodging trademarks in places?
I mean, it's a fan game that will be released for free. So, I mean, standard caveats apply for that. So how we differentiate it from Ace Attorney Investigations? Basically, I think the thing that I would say there is we wanted this game first and foremost to be very faithful to the land of Equestria. We wanted to stick as close to the general feel of the show as possible. So you probably will not see ponies getting murdered. That's one way it's differentiated. I also talked to Zeus Assassin quite a bit about some extra gameplay stuff. Like the confrontations that we saw there is basically new for this. It obviously took some cues from the courthouse scene. But it had some extra stuff as well. And one other thing that we weren't able to demo, but which you will be seeing later, is we have a partner system that is much more involved and useful than it was in Ace Attorney Investigations, in the sense that your partners actually do things like opening up conversation options. They can help you in confrontations and interrogations and stuff like that. Yes, sir.
Will Twilight ever have an epic objection vote?
Yes. I will not say anything more than that, but I will say yes. I believe, yes, sir. Sorry, you're going to have to speak up a bit. We have had a number of people already approach us with interest to translate it, so I have a feeling the answer will be yes. Yes, sir. No, not really. We had a demo that we released in May 5th, and we gave a concrete release date for that, and that kind of turned out to be a bit of a mistake for a volunteer project like that, because things kind of happened, and leading up to that, Zeus Assassin and that Canadian dude were working for about 2 days straight, getting all the audio sync working up, and I stayed up for 39 hours straight, getting everything ready. I just about had a mental breakdown when we found a game-breaking bug at 9 p.m. on the day when we were supposed to release. So we do have an internal schedule that keeps us on track, but we probably will not be announcing anything regarding a solid release date until the game is basically done. Yes, sir.
What made you decide to go with coding from scratch versus a pre-built engine like Unity or somebody else?
Well, it kind of just happened. When I first got this idea to do my little investigations, I had done video game projects in the past, and they'd always basically, I worked on them for like a week or so. I got a little bit done, and then nobody cared, so I kind of lost interest. I was kind of expecting this to be like this, just like a silly thing, but then I submitted the first video to Equestria Daily, and it got front page to my shock, and everybody was like, "I'm throwing my money at my screen, but nothing is happening." so I was kind of like, "Well, I guess we'll keep going." And at that point, the engine was kind of already underway, so I kind of just ran with it, and it kind of is nice having a custom engine. I think, are we out of time?
I think we might have time. Do we have time for like one more question?
One more.
One more.
Okay. I think there's someone back here. Yes, sir. Sorry, you're going to have to speak up. Yeah, we have definitely talked about this. We have no concrete plans at the moment, but it's definitely there, and we know people would probably be interested. So, after case 1 is done, and we have a little downtime, we'll see what happens. Right, I think we are out of time, so thank you all so much for coming. I love you all.